There's this word that everybody is afraid of, the word anarchy. I don't know why you're playing safe around that word. Anarchy is a political ideology. And it is the political ideology that the government wants to push us to. And I say this because if you analyze what the word anarchy is, it's just basically anti-RUTOism. Because what the outgoing President RUTO is running is akin to what could be described as, and pardon my largesse, a kakistocratic tumbocracy. In the sense that the only way you can qualify for this government is if you're utterly corrupt, if you're utterly inept and uneducated, and if you have a name that has bedeviled this country for long. So sorry to break it to you, fellow comrades in the Catholic University of East Africa and all other school-going children, that you will never be in government because you're educated and you stand for something. Dimwits, all of you. That is what we are fighting. I need us to be alive to this reality because that informs our now and that will inform our what next. I used to be shy of this question, but Kenya is akin to, I would liken our beloved country to a beautiful woman in a narcissistic and abusive relationship. And asking that woman what next is after she bears her heart out to you and you tell her, wa, sauta do. It is imperative, it is incumbent upon us to, one, figure out how do we take our friend from this situation, because otherwise we run the risk of victim blaming. And a lot of the times the people who are asked what next are the victims. It has never been to the powerful people because they know exactly what is now, and they know that up to 100 generations they will be sorted off the blood of your backs. And they use your blood to sign political deals. That's all that's needed. Kitambo, it used to be signatures. Nowadays, the more lucrative thing in my analysis is the blood of young men. Not even for rituals or anything, because you guys are not that important. I need to remind you, when you're walking around, don't you dare think that you're a human being. You're nothing in this country as a young person. We despise you and we hate you. And that is why when there are police excesses and we go on the streets, we are told, tone down. Between you and a headless chicken, I see no difference. This is how we push back. It is in the remembrance of the cruelty that this regime has meted upon us. When you remember that corruption is akin to genocide, when someone steals money that was meant for vaccines, when someone steals money that's meant for higher education, when someone steals money that's meant for food, it should anger you because there are millions who will never get to see the light of day. We push back because of the resolve we have while saying Daima Sisi wa Kenya. We will push back because what next looks like this. We will deal circumfoniously with this government. We will root it out. We will ensure that all these corrupt officials face the law. We will ensure that rogue policemen, and it has gotten to a point where we have to be very radical in our communication, in the sense that abnormal behavior during abnormal times is normal behavior. The state is trying to push young men and women to violence because they cannot reason. That is why the only way the state can deal with you is if they criminalize you, because they know they can manipulate criminal law. We push back by remembering the comrades that we have lost. We will push back because we are Kenyans, and as my sister and comrade Masita Rus would say, Kenya ni home.
Thank you for that. Powerful statements there. I know we're really short of time and there's still a song to be sung before we go, but I mean, such amazing sentiments from you both. Maybe as you wind up, Elizabeth, and I'll probably come to you as well, Irene, there is this sense of we need that conviction and resolve. How do we also move forward with heavy education? I think it was Irene who said, we know, like you know your rights, you know the law. So how do we then now move forward by emphasizing a lot on people being equipped with the knowledge on their rights? Because that's always been taken advantage of. That is the one thing that has been a constant. We can start with you. How do we move forward in terms of the civic education, in terms of education on policies, to allow us to use that to exercise our democratic rights? Very briefly.
Yeah, I'll be brief. In fact, when you asked what what next, I was going to say it's just not as simple as saying it is step 1, 2. Now, I'll give a simple analogy. When you give birth to a baby, do you sit there and say, what next? No, this is a process. Now, you start a process of nurturing the life. And nurturing life has a process. You start when the baby can do nothing. They talk, they walk, they go to school, and finally, they're independent. Now, here we have already birthed a revolution. Now, first and foremost, what people need to ask themselves, I don't think people are tired as such. It is just that the tactics that are being used to infiltrate the movement is what is making people lose interest in it. But I think they're very much into it. But number one is we need to constantly remind ourselves, why did it begin in the first place? Now, when you tell yourselves that, and then you come to answer your question, have you achieved what got you there in the first place? If the answer is no, then definitely you have to continue. And my view is, we are fighting for the soul of this country. We are fighting for our future, and we cannot afford to relent. They want us to relent so that they can continue with these shenanigans they're up to. So we need to remind ourselves, number one, why did we begin? And then number two, we need to do civic education. Now, I'll give you an example. You can see these border people who are being, okay, not all of them. There are people who are infiltrating as borders, other goons. We need to do a massive civic awareness among the population. Show them this is the problem. If you did not stick to these handouts you're being given, this is the better part that you can get when systems are working. Let us fight. I've always said, let us fight for systems that are working for each and everyone. Let the leaders put in place systems that are working, and everyone will be okay. It's not an issue that we all want to be crazily rich, but if you can meet your needs and you can live a decent life, most people would be comfortable with that. So we need to remind ourselves two elements. We need to remind ourselves why we began, and number two, we need massive civic education for the population.
Thank you. Very important. Finally, Irene.
Further to what my sister Anjali has said, I believe that as LSK, we have been doing this and we continue doing it, creating awareness, educating the masses. We have legal aid clinics. We always host them at different court stations, and we are always urging people to come. And you can ask as many questions as you want. And because of the of the times that we are in, such avenues go ahead to help people understand how our country runs, what their rights are, what their duties are as citizens, and what they should expect from the government. I actually believe that we are not against taxes. Our problem is how are our taxes being used. That's the biggest problem, because why are you taxing people yet they don't see any benefits? We don't have roads, we don't have hospitals, we don't have proper working schools. Even higher education has become a problem. After Form 4, what's next? Are they going to, like they were saying, they give people border? I'm not looking down on border riders, but all of us cannot be border riders. You see, so we need to have systems that work.